Mic check, mic check. Live on a Wednesday morning. My name is France. I am your host, the Let's Talk Battle Rap podcast, the Battle Rap podcast of New York. You can follow the show on all the social media platforms, LTBR podcast. Subscribe to our website, letstalkbattlerap.com, for all your latest stats, facts, quotes, news, updates, editorials, all that good jazz. We got it for you. Some professional coverage going on over here. Don't you already follow us? If you're new, welcome, welcome. If you're a reoccurring person that supports us, we appreciate you. Now, I'm doing this monologue podcast because, all right, guys, I gotta confess, all right, I messed up. All right. On Monday, when I did the King of the Dot podcast with Lad, we did day one. We stopped recording. We did day two. And I tried to get cute over here. I wanted to get the illmac and Rum Nitty recap as a separate clip. So instead of clipping that portion of the podcast, I cut off the recording so we only have that version of the podcast. That's why there's no day two pod out. I got to wear that. That's my fault. Maybe it was a sign to not work on my birthday anyway. So it's okay. But I'm here to, talk a little bit about day two. I want to give you guys an update and our thoughts on, or my thoughts on some of the day two battles. And I will say the recap article will be out this afternoon. Shout out to the senior staff writer Q, the young rook Jay Smo. I didn't even work Jay Smo that hard this weekend, all right? Just a few battles. He didn't even have to write about Pepe. I wrote about Pepe. I said, Smo, you work very hard, man. So day two, just to briefly talk about some of these day two battles. Pepe and Emerson Kennedy, EK's been on a farewell tour this year, and I've loved a lot of his performances. If you haven't gotten the chance to check out him versus Geechee Gotti that just dropped recently, it went down at the top of the year, but it just recently dropped. Go watch that. Fantastic battle. You know what I'm saying? And he listen, he's got a lot of good performances this year. This one wasn't one of my favorites personally. He definitely got creative, and somebody gave him access to the light switch again. So he got to play with the lights in his third round. Had a really humorous round, shooting some shots at my verse. Your girl might have some words for that, sir. All right? Be very careful. And Pepe was solid, man. I think he had a solid second round, but for the most part, wasn't really that moved by this battle. But salute to both gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Loso versus Joey Gambello. I'm a big Joey Gambello fan. I want him to stay as consistent as he possibly can because I feel like there's a movement going on again back in Toronto. They're trying to bring the culture back to Toronto. He's somebody that you'll have moments of and flashes of brilliance. You have some battles where he's a bit inconsistent or he isn't all the way clean. His second round in particular against Loso, woo! The judge threw the book at him. Woo! I like that round from him. And Loso's performance, pretty solid standard performance from Loso. You know what I'm saying? Name flip specialist in this one. So let's get the name flipping. Had all the Joe flips. Banjo was crazy. Had some angle punches. Talked about trying to battle at beast mode. Battles being vaulted by Joey. He battled A.Ward. The battle got vaulted. It was a good performance from Loso. It was the right performance I would expect from him because he has a very busy schedule. He's got Chaos in 2 weeks. 2 weeks after that, he's got Danny Myers. So Loso's on tour real soon. So I expect there to be a gradual increase in the performance and the material, but he's able to always project well, perform well, be direct to his opponent, find a way to always kind of just leave an impactful impression when he's on the stage. But I will say a lot of bringing it back. Loso, a lot of bringing it back. You got to tighten that up for Kid Chaos and Danny Myers. So salute to Loso for his battle with Joey Gambello. I thought it was a pretty dope battle. One of the better battles of the day because besides the two best battles of this day, the rest of the day gets kind of bleak, respectfully. All right. Carter Deems and Tricky P. Carter was Carter. Carter's fantastic. That man's the GOAT. We love Carter Deems. And if we could just watch Carter Deems individually, we could and we would. I know Tricky P has been a fan favorite. People were happy to see him back. But between some of the bars and the pacing and some of the just quirky ass things that was being said, it's a little uncomfortable. It didn't resonate with me well. You know what I'm saying? What you mean? You gonna peg what? Yeah, I don't know, Tricky P. I don't know. But I will say Tricky P, very original, very authentic to him. Despite what people may be craving in this era of battle rap, he stayed true to himself. I may not like it, but you know, he did his thing. But big salute to Carter Deems. Carter Deems is a fool. Great highlights from Carter, so I really enjoyed his performance. We also had on day 2 Jada Nightwing versus Mad Flex. Round of applause for both these gentlemen because they set the bar for damn near battle of the night. And maybe for some people, they feel like they got more from this battle than they did from Rum and Illmac. Very, very. I think there's no wrong answer. I think there's a wrong answer, but I think there's no wrong answer if you watch both those battles once and you felt like, yo, I like Jay and Matt Flex more because they were so layered, so detailed, dope concepts, angles. Like this was a pen patrol. If you love the lyrical, layered, the gems, rewind, there's more to find type battles, this is the one, man. Don't let the Twitter poll and the numbers out there fool you. This is a fairly competitive battle. I have no dog in the race, no horse in the race, I should say. You know what I mean? Like if you have Matt Flex 2-1, no arguments from me. He did phenomenal and definitely deserving of a win. If you have J 2-1, same ordeal. Definitely one of the best 3 battles this weekend, aside from Real Sick, A.Ward, and Rum Nitty and illmac. Wow, that battle was so good. I don't even want to do them a disservice to try to quote anything. Go ahead and check out the highlight clips we have on LTBR podcast on Twitter. Both these gentlemen were amazing, and it's good to see Jada Nightwing back in his element. He's such a phenomenal writer, and I love when he has those moments of feeling inspired again. And Matt Flex, if you were shocked, don't be, because this is a consistent level of performance you kind of get from Matt Flex. Go back to some of his battles from season 1, some of his battles on Town Business. You know what I'm saying? The man has been putting on at this level for years. So once they both hit the stage, I was not surprised that this was the result of the battle because I know what both of these gentlemen are capable of. And JC versus Low Pesci. You know, there's moments where Low Pesci gets into a solid like pocket where like the multis is hitting, and I'm like, okay, I'm grooving with it. You know what I'm saying? He'll have some witty lines, a little humor to break up the monotony of like nothing really landing between some of his dry spots, but still haven't seen that level of competitiveness in this era from him. Like if the B Magic battle and the JC battle, I feel like a 2-1 in the same, where like he's across from one of one of the more prominent names that we have in this culture that has had this been competitive this year, B Magic and JC, who listen, man, just because you may have seen JC lose a couple battles in the last few months or so between like Clutch or Hustle or Surf, you know what I'm saying? I guess that's a year ago now. But regardless, ain't nothing sweet with JC. Ain't nothing sweet with Julian. You put Julian in front of you, that's still a very much a threat you have to deal with. He didn't have to do much to really secure the win for this battle, all 3 rounds for me. Very walk in the park win for JC. You got to salute him. Very dope second round, very dope third round. Pretty much carried the content in this battle for real. But Low Pesci is good to see when you think of King of the Diet, think of battles in Toronto. You want to see him there. So salute to that. I just think he could have had a different opponent that isn't as high level as JC. You know what I'm saying? It's a very massive gap between Low Pesci, JC in 2023. I feel the same way about Holohan and Geechee Gotti, but I know that that's more so to get Geechee Gotti in Toronto for his Toronto debut, and he won the battle Pat Stay. I know there's a bit more sentimental value there. So the point is, there's a bit of a gap between their skills in this at this current day and age. So you see a lopsided result. But that's all the day 2 battles me and Vlad didn't get a chance to cover. Go ahead and check out the illmac and Rum Nitty recap. We did it off our first watch. I feel like I didn't give illmac enough justice in that recap. I played a clip of illmac towards the end because, my God, man, listening to illmac talk a little bit about that battle, he actually broke down his strategy in the battle. I just want to play this clip. Let me see if I can get it up for you guys. Wait. Nah. Let me get professional here. I could get this bad boy up on the StreamYard. Oh, what are we doing, France? Come on, man. You ain't got to play that into the microphone. Pause. Let's get that into the StreamYard.
Scared of doing that because if it doesn't hit the first round, then you actually stuck with the same.
Nah, so I don't think I took the same angle off 3 rounds, but I think I like basically what the outline of my shit was my thinking going into it was is Rum as a superstar because he battled out here on Blackout, but Rum in superstar form for the first time in Toronto. I'm like, no matter what I do, he's gonna bomb on me in the first, and everything is gonna hit. I'm like, just because his style is instant gratification and it's gonna pop in that room. I knew that was gonna pop. So I'm like, what I need to do is in the first, basically break down punches very detailed to make sure that he has diminishing returns in round 2 and 3. So I'm like, I know he's gonna bomb. So I'm gonna punch in the midst of it and create moments, the blackout, the shot, all these different things where I'm like, I'm still gonna have to punch. But I need to put a chink in the armor just enough to give me breathing room in 2 and 3, because that's my strongest rounds to me. And I'm like, and I'm bombing in the second with aliens. So the first is breaking down your punches. The second is just name flips. It's like, okay, I'm gonna punch with you. I'm gonna play your game, but I'm gonna do it my way, And in the very end, I was like, okay, I'm gonna speak the aliens language. Let's talk this otherworldly science shit,
And you definitely came with it, yeah.
I can't help but throw the illmac twist on it. Yeah. And then round 3 was like, just say what you mean. I'm like, this is what I mean.
And there you have it, man. That's a breakdown of illmac's writing process, the outline, and the strategy for the 3 rounds against Rum Nitty. I've seen a lot of people say that it kind of got repetitive. It definitely felt that way because every round was somehow attached to the other. So that's where you see, like, okay, maybe you felt like he took the exact same angle every 3 rounds. He technically didn't, but he definitely referenced some of the same points, and it all tied in very well, because if it was effective for you from the go round, it's going to be effective for you long term, and if it wasn't, then it won't be. But that's why we have such a debatable battle between the two of them. And my God, like that battle on replay. That's why earlier I said, like, in between, when I first watched Jay, Matt Flex, and Rum and Illmac, it felt like Jay and Flex gave me more value, like longer rounds. I was a bit more shocked. You know what I'm saying? But then when I stopped to rewatch Rum and Illmac, I realized, like, you know how hard it is for a main event to live up to its hype and standard. And more importantly, like, these are two, like, of the elitists and some of the greatest standing in front of each other. I still didn't like Rum Nitty's first round being as short as it was. The Canada scheme was fire. I was just surprised the round was so short. But despite that first round, the other 5 rounds are just bombs. It's magic. It's fireworks. It's great writing. It's strategy. It's potent lines. It's creativity. Like, it's really, in the words of Organic, again, I don't want to steal this, the pinnacle of penmanship. So go ahead and check that battle out. Cop the VOD. Listen to our recap of it. So that's pretty much all I had for day 2 that I wanted to revisit, because I didn't get a chance to save that podcast. Again, I apologize to everybody out there. But, I want to touch on a few more topics before I get up out of here with this monologue podcast. So fresh off of Blackout, I've seen there's been a reoccurring theme amongst some of the voices and influences in media that, A.Ward battles too much, right? And here we go. Let me put the manager hat on, right? I wish I had a Kansas City hat on. Would have made the transition better. But I think the timing of the statement from all these people in media reveals a lot to me, right? Because A.Ward's battled 3 times in a month, 3 times in the last 6 weeks. Averb, Charlie Clips, and Real Sick. But you know who else has battled 3 times in that exact same time frame? Rum Nitty. He battled Ace Amin on Summer Madness, Jazz on the Riot, and Illmac on King of the Dot. And if we break that down, the Rum Nitty battle is one of the better battles on Summer Madness, and one of probably the best battles so far we had on a big stage this year. Very competitive clash against the reigning Woman of the Year in Jazz. Dope battle. And arguably one of the battles of the weekend, arguable battle of the year contender, and an elite display, yet again, the pinnacle of penmanship against Illmac. An amazing battle. So in those 3 weeks, 3 high-level opponents, 2 GOATs, maybe 3 debatable if you feel that Ace battle's debatable as well. They're all very competitive. You can make the argument for his opponents, but great showings from Rum Nitty. Great showings. You know who else has battled 3 times in that same amount of time, 6 weeks? Geechee Gotti. He also battled 3 times this month. He battled Coffee Brown, that same Riot card. It was a battle that, to put lightly, the culture was left with much to be desired from that performance from both of them. The easy to block captain battle, the most impactful battle this year, the most impressive win, that battle alone might be worth 2 or 3 battles from Geechee Gotti, and then the main event against Holohan, a great opportunity for Geechee to, bless the Toronto crowd with his talents and express his gratitude to be there. But I do feel like if we're just looking at the actual battle, Holohan really wasn't up to par for what you expect from a battler in 2023. But Geechee was great, so can't take nothing away from him. Plus, his third round dedicated to Patch Day, very heartfelt. So 3 main events, 1 battle that you might consider lackluster, one of the biggest wins of the year. This damn near got him in some people's KOTD contention because of how impactful that win was. And then a dope heartfelt battle against Holohan and the Toronto crowd. And then we go to A.Ward's last 6 weeks, right? A.Ward, the biggest battle of his career, grudge match that lived up to all hype and expectations. And it's a debatable win. You know what I'm saying? It's arguably one of the best battles of the year. Everybody called it one of the best battles of the year after it happened. Okay. He has a lackluster rematch against Charlie Clips. Another debatable win, but it's not something to really write home about or really hang your hat on. You know what I'm saying? Fine, we could take that. But I thought he had a fantastic performance against Real Sick. He just stood in front of a Real Sick career high. If you look at the Twitter polls, a lot of them are in like the 60-40 range, 65-35 splits in favor of Real Sick to A.Ward. So that kind of insinuates that it might be debatable, but I think at the end of the day, it's a competitive battle, and I can't say A.Ward's bad in that battle. That's probably why you want to give Real Sick as much praise as you want to give him, because he was great and arguably took this battle clear in a lot of people's eyes, or the consensus of a lot of people in media, and it was against a very good A.Ward. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, this is still arguably the battle of the weekend. Definitely battle of the night for day one, and arguably a battle of the year contender as well. So you're telling me this is his second battle of the year contender in the same month? I don't know, man. I think it's difficult to battle 3 times in this span of time, but he's not the only one doing it. So to cast this narrative that he's battling too much when there's others doing the exact same amount of volume with similar results, similar positive results as well. I think it's like we need to salute all these guys for their work ethic, being able to handle this much of a workload and these kind of stages and performances. Because between Rum, Geechee, and A.Ward, they didn't battle 3 times in 6 weeks on small leagues. These were all big cards, big leagues, important opponents, important cards. You know what I'm saying? And more importantly to this narrative, this is what makes it most interesting to me, right? In 2021, A.Ward's battled 23 times. In 2022, A.Ward's battled 19 times. In 2023, he's battled 8 times. This is the least amount of times he's battled since probably 2020, since 2019. So, like, why do you think he's battling too much? Is it because now it's finally against higher profile opponents and the bloggers and the media have to actually cover these battles instead of letting all his battles go on the wayside from times he's battled on smaller leagues? And this isn't even the first year he's battling high-level opponents. The year he ranked top 5 in KOTD, he battled Ill Will, Geechee Gotti, Luke Castro, Shotgun Suge, Charlie Clips in the 1-rounder, Rosenberg Raw. I could keep going. And so, like, this is even the first year you could be like, he's finally getting the names. And in between the 6 battles of Big K, Viixen, Frack, A.Ward, Charlie Clips, and Real Sick, you can very much argue he's 3-3. He has quality performances in all of them, even in the ones he's taken losses to, in your opinion. So I don't necessarily buy this whole notion that like he's like oversaturated, or like does he need to like map out the timing between some of these big battles? I agree. I would like to see him have at least 3 or more weeks for a big battle. Don't forget, all these battles were booked out with a month apart. You know what I'm saying? Clips is supposed to be August 5th. Verb is supposed to be September 2nd. And Sick was supposed to be at the end of September 30th. So like everything was planned out till Chrome got pushed back and it had to go in the middle of it. And maybe it might have really taken a big effect on some things, but he tried to go about this the right way. I still think the results of this is fantastic. And it's clear to me that this is the first time you guys have to actually cover him this much. So you guys feel like he's battling too much. When the reality is this is the least amount of times he's battled. So this is just a showcase that reveals that a lot of y'all probably haven't been watching some of these battles. In fact, I think I heard Vado Fly like recapping a lot of like A.Ward's battles against white guys. And at one point he stopped and said, I think he battled Real Deal. He lost a Real Deal. I think he battled Real Deal. Hold on. He has to stop the video to go check. And he's reading the comments. And he's kind of like, oh, yeah, I see some Real Deal 2-1, see a lot of A.Ward 2-1s. Maybe I got to watch this battle back. It's like, were you ready to just commit to a narrative, to a battle that in your mind you didn't even know existed, that you probably hadn't watched? Like, prior to you looking it up, could you tell me what card it was, what event it was? I don't know. Like, these are just the small moments where, like, I feel like the standards are a little bit unfair towards Ward. And, yeah, this is me saying this, so I know what y'all going to say. Friends, you got your manager hat on. You caping, you this and that, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here for let's just keep everything a fair standard, all right? Because this isn't the guy battling too much. When you have some of his peers battling at the exact same amount of volume and they get an excessive amount of praise for it, for some reason with him, he gets discredited. So there's something I wanted just to leave you guys with there in regards to what he's been doing. Still a fantastic stretch. I grade that Vert performance an A, Charlie Clips performance a C, that Real Sick performance a B, maybe a B minus. I'll take that, man. That was very, very good for that span of time. All right. We do got a few more things I want to touch on before I get out of here too. Shout outs to Bullpen, Dope in the Pen. And that's an event going down October 28th out in Oakland. Got some heavy matchups on this card. Heavy matchups. John's battling Mr. Fab out in Oakland. So this is a dope look for him. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of reminding me a little bit about the J Mills battle. It's giving me that feel. But, it's a road game, and the undercard is stacked. All right, we got Calicoe versus Pass on the undercard. That alone is going to sell the pay-per-views. You know what I'm saying? Like Calicoe and Pass in Oakland. Who's not here for that? Really? Matter of fact, go ahead and book your ticket now. That after that battle happens, we're gonna see a lot of BLTYs on the timeline. BLTY contender. We're getting to that point of the year where every event feels like it has one of these. So when you start to hear a little bit too much, you get a little numb to it, or you have to see it for yourself to evaluate. And maybe some of these battles are worthy. It's just when you stop to make the list in December, you realize something doesn't make the cut, no matter how good it was, because there's just something out there better. But I think Calicoe and Pass will be an amazing battle. They also announced Yoshi versus Viixen the Assassin today. That's going down. There's a battle that wasn't announced, but somebody leaked it. And if you heard me earlier in the podcast mention it when I talked about somebody's schedule, you can put 2 and 2 together. So I won't say it again. But Dope in the Pen is a fire card. John been putting on fire cards all year, so I got to salute that. You know what I'm saying? J400's card is also going down this weekend. Big salute to J400 for that. Let me pull up that card and give you the whole breakdown there, because he's battling Av. The main event is Jay versus Av. That's going down. Home Favorite Guy will now be battling Marv 1. A.Ward returned the money for the battle and rescheduled it. Great decision. A very great decision by him. Danny Myers will be battling Solo on this. The Saga will be battling Enes. Speed Dial will be battling Brooklyn Carter. 5 dope battles Saturday, October 7th. And the card's on pay-per-view, so go ahead and cop the pay-per-view on Rap Grid. Shout out to Black Compass. They will be doing the commentary for that as well. So the Set It Off card by J400 will be a movie. I will be in attendance. So you already know I'm going to try to get you guys clips too. You know how I do. What else is going on before I get up out of here? I think that's all we have for now. I think maybe we could do a space to talk about or break these battles down. I know Cola will definitely be doing this space because he's doing the commentary, so he's going to be breaking down these battles. So go ahead and pull up on him and listen to that. And I think that's all that I want to talk about for now. But I will say this. I'm watching all these K-Shine clips on My Expert Opinion. Not surprised that the first time Math Hoffa brings back a battle rapper, he brings it back in the midst of there being controversy. And somehow, some way, every time I hear K-Shine speak more, I understand less. I'm more confused. And in every interview, I feel like there's just certain questions that are just not being asked. And when you kind of get close to those questions being asked, like, you don't get a direct answer. I mean, he's from Harlem. You're never gonna get a direct answer from somebody from Harlem. That's on par with the brand. But I don't know. I'm at this. Me and Vlad are gonna break down the tape real soon, so we're gonna do a full analysis on everything that's being said. But I broke this down earlier, thinking what July was it? I did a monologue podcast detailing the entire timeline of the open battle contract between like Daylight and then obviously the Jack Boy battle. So if there's two battles that Kayshawn owes, you know, I feel like it's as simple as either do the battles or refund the money. I think it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? If ARP and Remy offered to come together to get him out of a situation, it's because he owes money. They're coming together to give him money because he owes money so he can get out of a situation. I don't see the discrepancy there between like there's a lot to break down here. So I'm not going to give a full thought on it now, but this is a thought I've had on it in the past, and it's even more prevalent now. If you owe two battles on this contract that you signed, this exclusivity contract that you signed, that you didn't know what exclusivity meant at the time, either do the battles or refund the money. I don't feel like it's that complicated. You know what I mean? I know Kayshawn also, like when you hear Kayshawn on My Sport Opinion, it clearly sounds like he wasn't aware of certain things from the contract, probably didn't fully read it in detail. And you know, Kayshawn's a vet, man. He's a great. He's been here since 2008, maybe even before that. You know, so like, I don't really feel any sympathy for somebody that hasn't necessarily dived into their contract or the ins and outs. It doesn't even have to be you to read it. It could be you to get somebody to read it for you so that you understand what you're committing yourself to. You know what I'm saying? And I think there could be some blame put on the league as well for maybe not rescheduling certain things or communication or figuring out how to like maybe get him some money for the inconvenience, the things that were out of his control, like the Jack Boy battle. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely some blame to place on both parties, but I still think it's as simple as either just do the battles or refund the money. I think that's literally case point, the premise of this entire year-long dispute. But me and Vlad will break it down sometime this week or next week. So that's all for me today. Let's talk battlerap.com. Go ahead and check out the King of the Dot recap article coming out this afternoon. We got another dope article coming out the next day. You know what I'm saying? Be on the lookout for that on Thursday. I'm not going to tell you who it's about. Be surprised. It's going to be a real goodie. And we do got some Crucible coverage from Q. He did a podcast for Battle Rap Dog breaking down this entire Crucible Season 3 class. Finals exams coming up next week. So a whole bunch of Battle Rap galore going on. We're going to cover the J card next week. We got I Battle next week, Bullpen next week. I think Q will be at probably finals exams or Civil War. So we'll get some coverage on one of those two events as well. I'm going to take the time to say prayers to DNA as well and his mother and his family. Very tragic, fortunate events. He went on 15 Minutes of Fame to kind of talk about how he felt like the hospital failed him, how persistent he was with his communications and requests that weren't being met. Definitely feel free to go ahead and check out that video and support DNA in any way possible. That if he needs anything from us and the culture, we're here for it. You know, I did see that he was supposed to be battling an I Battle this weekend, and Lex Luthor tweeted out, I reached out to DNA yesterday to let him know it's okay to push the battle back to December, but DNA said he wanted to make it very clear that the show must go on, and he still will be doing the battle with Dungeon against this weekend. So I think maybe it's a really good distraction for DNA to get into doing something that keeps his mind occupied. And I gotta salute that because, man, that is difficult. That's beyond difficult. I sent a bunch of prayers and I empathize with him. Again, check out that video on 15 Minutes of Fame with Uncle Ra and DNA, where he talks a little bit about the entire story of everything and anything that he needs to get some support from us. We're there 100% of the way. Let's talk battlerap.com. We're out of here. Enjoy your Wednesday.